Hey guys, it's me, Miss Rose. Today we're going to work on solving equations and we're going to focus on using inverse operations to solve them. The inverse operations that we're going to be working on is going to be multiplication and division. So let's get started. This lesson was taken from Maneuvering the Middle, grade 6, solving equations and inequalities. The problem directions say solve each equation. Don't forget to check your work. It then gives us a little bubble of information saying the inverse of multiply by 3 is to divide by 3. Divide both sides by 3. So we need to understand that the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. So the first problem says 3x equals 12. Well, we needed to divide each side by 3. Once we divided each side by 3, I got 4 because 3 divided by 3 gives me 1x and 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So x equals 4. My final step is to check my solution. It's always important in algebra to check your work. We took 3 times 4 and we multiplied it and got 12. All right, so let's try number 2. Number 2 says x divided by 2 equals 28. We are using division for this problem. However, in order to solve for x, I'm going to need to use multiplication. So we're going to take our x over 2, multiply both sides by actually something called the reciprocal, okay, of x over 2. The reciprocal basically is just taking our fraction, which is really 1 over 2, and flipping it so that it becomes 2 over 1. Once we multiply x over 2 by 2 over 1, we're going to multiply 28 times 2 over 1. Because 28 is a whole number, it is important that I turn 28 into a fraction by simply placing a 1 under it. I can now perform my multiplying fraction operations by multiplying numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator on both sides. If I multiply this side, it becomes 2x over 2. And 28 over 1 becomes 56 over 1. I know that 28 times 2 is going to give me 56. However, 2 divided by 2 is going to give me 1x. We don't need to keep that 1 in front of our x, so we're just going to make it an x. And 56 divided by 1 equals 56. So my final answer is going to be x equals 56. Let's check our work and make sure we got this correct. It's always important in algebra to check our work. If I take our original equation and substitute x with 56, that becomes 56 divided by 2. I can always check on a calculator to see if 56 divided by 2 is 28. Awesome. Let's go on to the next problem. Our next problem says 8x equals 4. Once identify that the operation is multiplication, I can now proceed to multiply each side by the inverse operation. I know that the inverse of our problem of multiplication is division. That means that I'm going to take our original problem and divide each side by 8. I know that 4 divided by 8 is going to give me 0.5, and I know that 8 divided by 8 is 1. Another way I could think of that is that 4 over 8, if I simplify that fraction, is going to give me 1/2. Now it's time to check our answer to make sure we got this correct. Take 8x and substitute it with either a 0.5 or a 1/2. It all depends on your preference. I'm going to replace my x with a 0.5. I'm going to check my work. 8 times 0.5 gives me 4. And I feel especially great when I can check it on my own and I get it right. 75 equals 5x. I see that this is multiplication because I know a number next to a letter means multiply. That means that we're going to use division, which is my inverse operation of multiplication, to solve this problem. I know that 75 divided by 5 equals 15. I know that 5 divided by 5 equals 1x. Of course, we don't need that 1, so we're going to have an answer of x equals 15. Now I can proceed to check my answer by taking our original problem and substituting the letter x for number 15. I can multiply out 5 times 15, which gives me 75. Let's go to the next problem. We have 12 equals x divided by 4. We're doing division for this problem because a fraction means divide. I'm going to use the inverse operation of division. I know that the inverse of division is multiplication. I'm going to multiply each side by the reciprocal of 1 over 4, which is 4 over 1. I'm going to apply the rules of multiplying fractions to solve this now. 12 times 4 is 48 over 1. And I know that x times 4 is going to give me 4x over 4. I know that 48 divided by 1 is going to give me a final answer of 48. 4x divided by 4 is 1x. X equals 48. Let's check our answer by plugging it back into the problem. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So I know that I got this answer correct. I hope you're getting the hang of this. Number 6, we have 15x equals 105. Here I see that we're multiplying because I know that a number next to a letter equals multiplication. What I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to take each side and divide it by 15 because I know that the inverse of multiplication is division. What I'm going to do is we're going to take our original problem and divide each side by 15. We need balance. We are going to do the same on each side of the equal sign. Divide by 15. 15 divided by 15 is going to give me 1x. X equals 7. So now I'm going to check my work. And I see when I check my work that if I plug in 7 for x, I will have 15 times 7. I know that 15 times 7 equals 105. We're almost done. Here we have x over 7, or x divided by 7 equals 4. I know that a fraction means division. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our inverse of division, which is multiplication. So we're going to multiply each side by the inverse operation. If I take my original problem, if I multiply each side of the equal sign by the reciprocal of x over 7, which is 7 over 1, I know that 7 over 1 times 1 over 7 is going to give me 1x. And I know that 4 over 1 times 7 over 1 is going to give me 28 over 1. So my final answer is 28. I know that 7 divided by 7 is going to give me 1x, or just x. And 28 divided by 1 is going to give me 28. Again, we're going to check our work by plugging in or substituting 28 for our letter x. I know that a fraction means divide, so I'm going to say 28 divided by 7 equals 4. All right, we have 2 more problems, guys. This has gone by so fast. So here we have 30 equals 2 and 5 times x. I know that a number next to a letter, again, means multiply. Let's take the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So let's take our problem and divide each side by 2.5. 2.5 divided by 2.5 is going to give me 1x. Take 30 and divide that by 2.5. 30 divided by 2.5 is 12. We're going to take our original problem and check our work by replacing the letter x with parentheses and 12 so that we can multiply 12 times 2.5. Once you multiply that, you should be able to see that it gives us 30. I know I'm on the right track because I'm checking my work. Our final problem is 12x equals 69.6. I see here that we're using multiplication. That means that the inverse of multiplication is division. We're going to take our original problem and divide each side by 12. 9.6 divided by 12 gives me 5.8. I'm going to check this just to be sure. I'm going to take my original problem and substitute the letter x with 5.8. 12 times 5.8 equals 69.6. I hope you guys see the relationship that multiplication and division have. They are both inverse operations. They undo each other. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope you continue solving equations. Thank you.